All right, let's talk about something that's been weighing on everyone's mind, even if most people don't want to say it out loud. We're working nonstop, putting in the hours, grinding day in and day out, yet somehow we're still struggling financially. How does this make any sense? Why does it feel like no matter how hard we try, we're just running on a treadmill, exhausting ourselves without actually getting anywhere? It's frustrating, it's disheartening, and honestly, it's starting to feel like some kind of cruel cosmic joke. You set your alarm for an ungodly hour, drag yourself out of bed while it's still dark outside, and get ready for another long day. You commute to work, spend hours giving it your all, maybe even staying late to earn a little extra thinking it'll help. Then payday arrives, and for a brief, shining moment, you feel a tiny spark of hope until you check your bank balance. Rent, utilities, groceries, gas, student loans, that one small indulgence you allowed yourself because you deserved it, it all adds up. And just like that, your paycheck is gone almost as soon as it hit your account. It's a cycle that repeats month after month, leaving you wondering how you're supposed to get ahead when the system seems designed to keep you barely treading water. You're not alone in feeling this way, and that might be the worst part. Because if everyone's struggling, where's the solution? And let's not even start on the cost of living because, honestly, where do we even begin? It's as if the economy took a look at our struggles and decided to crank up the difficulty level just for fun. Every time you step into a supermarket, you go in with a clear, reasonable plan. Stick to the basics, just the essentials. Maybe a loaf of bread, some milk, perhaps a bit of fruit if you're feeling optimistic. But by the time you reach the checkout, you're staring at a total so shockingly high that it makes you question not just your shopping choices but your entire existence. You scan your cart, hoping to spot some extravagant, unnecessary purchase that could explain the number on the screen. But no, there's nothing but the absolute necessities. No treats, no luxuries, not even a guilty pleasure snack to make it all feel worthwhile. Just food. Plain, simple, everyday food. The kind of stuff human beings literally need to survive. And yet, affording it feels less like a given and more like a high-stakes challenge. When did survival become so expensive? When did buying groceries start feeling like signing away your financial future? But hey, let's talk about rent. Because seriously, why does it feel like paying a mortgage for a house you'll never actually own? Every month, you hand over a massive chunk of your paycheck just for the basic right to exist indoors. And for what? A place to sleep, eat, and maybe, if you're lucky, have enough space to turn around without bumping into a wall. It's not even an investment. It's just money vanishing into the void, never to be seen again. And landlords? Oh, they're out here acting like we all have piles of gold stashed away, casually hiking up rent as if everyone's secretly a millionaire. They justify it with phrases like market conditions and property values, as if that somehow makes it okay to drain our bank accounts a little more each year. Meanwhile, the only market I know is the grocery store, where I can barely afford a head of lettuce, let alone cover another rent increase. It's wild how the cost of living keeps skyrocketing, but wages stay stuck in the past. We're all just trying to keep a roof over our heads, yet it feels like survival mode every single month. And then there's electricity. You ever open your electricity bill and feel your soul leave your body? You stare at the number, wondering if you somehow started powering the entire neighborhood by accident. For a moment, you seriously consider just living in complete darkness, relying on candles like you're in the 1800s. You start rationing light like you're the main character in a post-apocalyptic survival film. Every time you flip a switch, you feel like you're spending actual gold. Showers become a race against time. You're in and out so fast you're not even sure if you properly washed your hair. You unplug every single appliance before bed, even the ones that barely use electricity because, at this point, every little bit counts, right? And don't even get me started on petrol. You pull up to the station, glance at the price per liter, and immediately reconsider every trip you've ever taken. Maybe walking everywhere isn't such a bad idea. You start driving like a hypermiling expert, coasting down hills, avoiding unnecessary acceleration. You even talk to your car, pleading with it, "Just one more week, buddy, and I swear I'll treat you to the premium stuff next time." Now, let's talk about work. Because, let's be real, it's not like we're just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. Australians are some of the hardest working people out there, putting in long hours, staying late, and pushing through the daily grind. We take pride in what we do, whether it's on a construction site, in an office, behind a counter, or out in the field. But wages? That's where the frustration kicks in. For years, wages have remained stagnant while the cost of living has surged. Groceries, rent, fuel, electricity, you name it, the prices just keep climbing. It's like being stuck on a treadmill that's gradually speeding up while your paycheck stubbornly refuses to move. Every month it feels like we're working harder just to stay in the same place. Finding a good job? Now, that's an entirely different challenge, almost like an impossible riddle. The classic paradox: you need experience to land a job, yet you need a job to gain experience. How does that even add up? Employers seem to expect fresh graduates to possess years of expertise as if we're all born with preloaded resumes. Then, there are the job postings that make you question reality. They call it an entry-level position but demand a degree, 5 years of experience, a portfolio, 3 glowing references, and the ability to work overtime, weekends, and maybe even in your sleep, all for a salary that barely covers rent. You start wondering if selling an organ is the only viable career move. And of course, the government's response to the struggle is less than helpful. They lecture you about budgeting while approving policies that make essentials more expensive. Can't afford rent? Just stop buying coffee. As if skipping a latte will magically generate a livable wage. Meanwhile, grocery bills are skyrocketing. Staples like eggs, milk, and bread are priced like luxury items. A simple trip to the store now feels like an investment decision. At this point, you're left questioning how anyone is supposed to get ahead. The system claims to reward hard work, yet no matter how many applications you send or hours you grind, the finish line keeps moving further away. What's the secret? Because clearly, hard work alone isn't cutting it. Now, I know what some people are thinking. Just get a side hustle. Ah, yes, because working one job that doesn't pay enough isn't exhausting enough. Let's go ahead and pile on another. That's the dream, right? Spending every waking hour trying to scrape together enough money just to cover basic necessities. Some people are already juggling 2, even 3 jobs, desperately trying to make ends meet. They clock in at one job during the day, then clock out only to clock back in somewhere else. And if that wasn't enough when they finally get home, they're logging into yet another gig just to squeeze out a few extra bucks. It's not about chasing dreams anymore, it's just survival. You've got people working full shifts, only to turn around and spend their nights with deliveries. But instead of swooping through the city fighting crime, they're out here delivering kebabs and late-night fast food orders to people who are comfortably binge-watching TV from their couches. There's no cape, no Batmobile, just an old Toyota running on fumes and a desperate hope that the next tip will be big enough to make it all feel worth it. It's a system where people are expected to grind endlessly, trading away rest, health, and sanity, just to afford rent, groceries, and gas. And yet, instead of questioning why one job isn't enough, we act like the solution is just to work even more. The struggle to get ahead often feels like an uphill battle. And for those who manage to make even a little progress, the system seems designed to knock them right back down. You work hard, budget carefully, and manage to save a modest amount, only to find that doing so disqualifies you from the very assistance programs that helped you survive in the first place. It's as if financial stability is only rewarded if you already have it. Then there's the dream of homeownership, a goal that's supposed to represent security and success. You scrape together every penny, sacrificing small luxuries and cutting back on essentials, hoping to build a future. But when you finally approach the bank, eager to take the next step, you're met with condescending rejection. Your deposit isn't quite enough, they tell you, as if you could magically conjure up thousands more. Maybe ask family for help. Because, of course, the assumption is that everyone has access to generational wealth. The reality is that the system favors those who already have financial advantages, while making it nearly impossible for the rest to break free from the cycle of struggle. Instead of rewarding effort, it penalizes ambition. At every turn, there's another barrier, another setback, another way of reminding you that no matter how hard you work, the odds are stacked against you. It's less about opportunity and more about maintaining a system where wealth stays with those who already have it. Companies are raking in record-breaking profits, reporting earnings that soar higher each quarter. Yet, despite this financial success, the people actually keeping these businesses running, the workers, continue to struggle. While executives sit comfortably in their luxury offices, Approving massive pay raises and bonuses for themselves, employees on the ground face stagnant wages, rising living costs, and financial insecurity. CEOs and top executives justify their enormous salaries with buzzwords like efficiency and cost-cutting measures. But these strategies rarely seem to affect their own paychecks. Instead, these so-called necessary cuts almost always target the workforce: reduced hours, fewer benefits, layoffs, and increased workloads. Meanwhile, the very people making these decisions take home salaries so inflated they could purchase multiple vacation homes, private jets, or even yachts without blinking. Workers, on the other hand, are forced to make impossible choices between rent, groceries, healthcare, and other basic needs. Inflation continues to rise, but wages remain stagnant. Executives claim there's just not enough in the budget to fairly compensate employees, yet there always seems to be room for executive bonuses, stock buybacks, and lavish corporate retreats. This imbalance highlights a growing divide between those at the top and those who do the actual work. While workers struggle to make ends meet, the wealth gap continues to expand, and corporate leaders celebrate record profits, not by investing in their workforce, but by lining their own pockets. It's a cycle of exploitation disguised as smart business, and it's becoming harder to ignore. The solution isn't as simple as just tightening our budgets or putting in more hours at work. Let's be real. People are already working tirelessly, often juggling multiple jobs just to make ends meet. The real issue isn't a lack of effort. It's the systemic imbalance in wages, the rising cost of living, and the relentless pursuit of profit by corporations and landlords who seem to view individuals as nothing more than endless sources of income. For too long, wages have remained stagnant while rent, groceries, healthcare, and basic necessities have skyrocketed. People aren't struggling because they're financially irresponsible. They're struggling because the math simply doesn't add up. When full-time workers can barely afford rent, let alone save for the future, something is fundamentally broken. The answer lies in structural change. Employers need to pay fair, livable wages that reflect today's cost of living. Housing shouldn't be a luxury, it's a basic human need. Rent control, stronger tenant protections, and responsible corporate policies can ensure people aren't squeezed dry just for existing. Governments, too, have a role in enforcing fair labor practices and ensuring companies contribute their fair share instead of hoarding profits at the top. Ultimately, the solution is about economic justice. It's about shifting the mindset from every person for themselves to a society where work is valued fairly and people aren't treated like endless ATMs. Everyone deserves stability, dignity, and a shot at a life that isn't just about survival. Until that day finally arrives, I suppose we'll keep doing what we do best, finding humor in our hardships, turning financial struggles into relatable memes, and making light of the never-ending cycle of rent payments. We'll joke about how our bank accounts seem allergic to savings, share posts about skipping avocado toast as if that alone could magically buy us a home, and dream about a future where our hard-earned money isn't just lining a landlord's pockets. We'll laugh through the frustration, scroll through listings we can't afford, and wonder if the housing market will ever be in our favor. Until then, we'll celebrate small wins, like actually affording a night out or managing to put a little aside despite rising costs. We'll keep pushing forward, believing that someday we won't just be paying rent. We'll be investing in a home of our own, finally breaking the cycle. Anyway, let me know in the comments. How broke are you on a scale from I'm fine to I've considered living in my car? Let's struggle together.